Welcome to The Jewish Lens, a podcast to discuss anything and everything from a Jewish perspective. Now, please help me welcome the man who controls the media, your host, Jonathan Rosen.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of The Jewish Lens. I'm Jonathan Rosen, and today I have with an unbelievable story, both fascinating and terrifying. He was falsely arrested and is still dealing with the repercussions from that. He's been featured on such places as Aish and Newsmax, and he's also writing a book about his experiences. Please help me welcome Yosh Markell. Yosh, thanks so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor to be here.
Well, before we get to everything, there's a lot to go over with you. As I'm saying, I do like to start by going back with people normally. So just tell me about your upbringing, and especially with regard to Judaism. Were you always observant?
Yeah. I went to a religious school my whole life. I started by going to a Chabad school in San Diego. It was well, there weren't many options in San Diego as far as schools. So, I lived in San Diego for about 16 years in a community where you had to go to Los Angeles to pick up meat because there wasn't many restaurants. But we made the most of it. But I went to a religious school my whole life. I always was Orthodox, and I think I always appreciated the religion even at a young age because I had a lot of friends growing up. So yeah, it's been a big part of my life.
And you live in Florida now, right?
I live in Florida now. I grew up in San Diego. I lived there for about 16 years. Then my family, for a reason I'm still trying to understand, we moved to Chicago to the cold weather. I know part of the reason was because I have family there, and there wasn't much of a high school in San Diego. I'd have to go for about 2 months. I went to school in Los Angeles, but I had to take the train every weekend back and forth, which was not ideal at all. And I wasn't really the LA type. It was a little too busy for me. So my whole family picked up and moved to Chicago. My dad and I, that's when we went to Florida, but we moved to Chicago for high school. And about 6 years after living in the terrible cold, we moved to Florida to be with my grandparents.
You're in South Florida.
I'm in South Florida, yeah. I live in Hollywood, Florida, and I love it here. I'm spoiled. Coming from San Diego where there's nothing, Hollywood has literally everything. If you don't like one pita place, there's one down the street. You don't like one pizza place, there's one down the street. There's literally everything here, school-wise, minion-wise. I mean, it's a pleasure to be here. And yeah, like I said, I don't
think you're that far from me, actually. I think we're not terribly far from each other.
Oh. Okay, so I got a few pita places if you want to pick one.
We'll have to do that, yes. So, all right, so you were a teacher, right? You worked with autistic children?
I did. I worked with autistic children for about 5 years, and I loved it. I personally loved giving back. One, I needed a job, and two, I like to show my strength, which I think is relating to anyone and everyone. And working with kids who I can make a difference in their life was a dream come true. It was hard. It was very hard. But I also was going to college for an elementary education degree. So It kind of got me familiar with teaching, especially teaching at a little more difficult level. But yeah, I did that for about 5 years, and it was such a blessing.
And then you transitioned into Amazon. It was reselling, right?
Correct. So I actually, while I was working at the School for Children with Autism, I actually part-time, I started doing Amazon. I had a friend who was on his balcony every night from 1 to 7 in the morning. And finally I said, "What are you doing out there?" And he said, "I'm doing Amazon." So he kind of taught me how to do it. I took whatever little money my wife and I had, and I invested about $300 in some cameras. And I took that money, I invested more, and eventually I gave up the teaching because we were trying to start a family, and I did Amazon full time.
So how long did that take you to go from starting it until you were able to do that as a full time?
Well, so we had my first child, my daughter, and it was very tough for my wife who was a teacher, to bring her to the daycare in the school, and I just thought, because she wanted to be a stay-home mom because she wanted to bring up her kids.
Right.
And so about a year into Amazon, I was doing pretty well. I was probably doing a little better than I was even making as a teacher. So I said to her, "Listen, I'm going to make it work and leave our daughter at home. We'll get a nanny part-time." So about a year in, I gave up the teaching and I did Amazon full-time and became a stay-home dad per se at the same time.
What was a typical day like for you? I mean, just doing that. Walk me through that a little bit.
The Amazon process?
Yeah.
Well, especially being in an apartment, a lot of boxes, a lot of cleanup. But when I first started, I was going to a lot of stores. Like I'd get the Sunday paper, and I'd go through every deal. It was very discouraging because it's very hard to find a deal. Like everyone thinks that, oh, this is 30% off, I'm going to make money. But no, it's not that easy. If it was, everyone would be billionaires.
Right.
I'd go to stores, I'd go to the closeouts. Even if I bought 1 to 5 items, you can make decent money. Eventually, I'd start ordering online. I'd order from Walmart, or I'd go to Costco, and I'd bring stuff back to my house. You basically put it in a box, and you ship it to Amazon, and they put it in their warehouse, and you hope it sells. It's a pretty simple process, but at first it was very hard to find deals, but I had to make it work. I mean, you have to do what you have to do.
Oh, that sounds incredible. I mean, it sounds easy and complicated at the same time.
That's a perfect way to define it. It was definitely easy as far as I liked being home, so the comfort of being home. So mentally, it was easy, but it's not when you first start, it's very competitive because you're only getting like okay items, but when you get really into it and you're buying the stuff that really sells, then there's no competition because everything sells.
Right.
So as you get more into it, you get better items, you get better vendors, you get more inventory, you get more capital, and then it flows pretty nice. It becomes like a very enjoyable business.
So, let me ask you about. I want to move forward to that day, the day that the infamous day for you. So it was the day after Yom Kippur, 2023. So you were driving one of your children to school when you see flashing lights. So can you take me moment by moment through that traffic stop? What went through your mind initially, and how did it escalate from there?
So first of all, I usually don't have my daughter and my dog in the car. Usually my daughter that one day was taken off of school or going in late, and I'm pulling up to my neighborhood because I live in a gated neighborhood, and I see flashing lights, which happens to anyone, and I'm like, okay, I'm just pull over the side because I didn't do anything. I don't speed, nothing, whatever. All of a sudden, they're pulling up behind me. I'm like, maybe I don't know what I did, but I must have done something because they're pulling me over. And then the officer came to me and said, license to registration. I'm like, okay, typical stop, no big deal. License to registration. Then when they tell you to get out of your car, you're like, what is going on here? That's when I started to be like, this is weird. So I was like a little and then, when he tells me to give him my keys to my house, my wallet, my phone, basically everything that's on me, you start to be like, what's going on here? You're starting to get a little confused. And then when they tell you to stand by a police car behind your car and don't move, you're like, really, what's going on here? Then when you see multiple police cars and, an ambulance down the street, like, what is really going on here? But you have
and
no
they're all
idea.
Surrounding your car.
Yeah. It's all about me. And my daughter's just in there. They're talking to her. I still even today don't know what they said to her because I think she's still scarred that she didn't tell me, or maybe she doesn't remember. And my dog, luckily, is the nicest dog. Although today she doesn't like authority so much. That's when her voice comes out. But yeah, it was a very confusing. At that moment, it was very confusing.
So describe the scene. So you arrive home and you see armored trucks and SWAT teams there?
So eventually they tell me after standing by this police car, and I even had friends driving by and they're like, Yosh, what's going on? And I'm just like, I don't know. They're like, are you okay? I'm like, I think so. So eventually they tell me to go back to my car with my daughter, with my dog. So I'm just telling my daughter it's okay, even though I have no idea. And I pull up to my house and I see an armored truck and a bunch of, police officers. They have like, big guns. And I'm just thinking, is that for me? Like, am I going in there? Like, what could I have done? Like, what is going on here? Like, this has to be a dream. Like, Yosh, wake up, wake up.
Right.
And I pull in my driveway, and oh, before that, I'm sorry. They asked where my wife was, so my wife could come pick up my daughter. But it was surreal. It was like it literally is like it was like a movie.
How is your daughter reacting during all this?
My daughter's pretty tough. She gets stuff from my wife, and she's just quiet. Like, she doesn't say a word. Maybe she's in shock. She didn't say a word. Like, she's totally quiet. And I remember, like, yesterday, like, her eyes were just, like, looking straight. Like, maybe she was in shock. Maybe she literally went into shock because she didn't say a word to me.
Oh. It's terrifying for a kid and a family. And for you, I mean, of course for you, but just terrifying for a kid to have to go through it. And when your wife gets home, what is she thinking when she sees all this?
Well, my wife is very tough. She's unfortunately been through a lot as a kid. And she just looks at me and she's like, it's okay, it's okay. And I'm the one freaking out. And she's like, it's fine. I'm going to take her to school. I'll come back. You'll be okay. And she's calm. She's very calm because she's been through, like I said, tough times. So she kind of knows how to navigate this in direction of, you're fine. Don't worry about it. I'm sure there's an explanation type of thing. Like, she's basically like, everything has an explanation. So she was good.
Yeah, no, this is all so surreal. I mean, during the raid, like, officers search the house, seize computers and documents for you.
Not only that, my watch, my wife's purses, basically everything I have in my garage, a little bit of money in my safe, and yeah, anything you could think of that you're just like, what does one thing have to do with the other? It was gone, and everything's a mess. My office is destroyed. It was pretty bad. I'm telling you, it was like a movie scene. Like, but we didn't do take two. It was just take one. Or take everything.
This whole time. But you still have like no idea. No one said anything to you while they're searching.
I'm just thinking, so I was outside in my driveway for a very long time. But eventually I'm like, wait a second, I have to daven. I pray every morning. I put on my tefillin and I didn't put them on yet. And so I look at the officer, I'm like, is it okay if I go inside to pray? And he's like, let me ask my supervisor, and so he let me go in. But I almost like wish I didn't go inside, because when you get inside, you're just like, this is crazy. But I was at the same time happy to be able to pray. I was happy to sit down and pray. It was very, as comforting as the situation could be. It was comforting. But when my wife got there, her and I were just sitting on the couch for probably like 5 hours, just sitting there and watching our house being taken over.
Oh my gosh! And your daughter left you a note at this point, or?
My daughter went to school. My wife took her to school. And I did actually have a note in my tefillin that I also made me feel a little bit better from my daughter, that I leave in there in my tefillin bag. So I at that moment, I just took anything that made me feel better, because I'm the type that could panic very easily. Like, I'm the weak one. I'm very tough for my family, but I'm the weak one. Like, I'm very sensitive, and I could just put things in my head that don't even make sense, because I'm just like looking at the scenario and I'm like, and when you're told, your bank account was frozen, your business was shut down, what do you do? Like, how do you react? You just think it's all over.
I was reading even if the police officers like ate non-kosher pizza in your house and everything.
Yeah, so that was a little interesting too. I mean, I didn't have an appetite, so I wasn't jealous of eating, but all of a sudden I see Domino's is delivered on my dining room / Shabbos table, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm Jewish. Doesn't mean you have to keep kosher, but like, okay, that's nice.
Did you say anything, or too frightened at that point?
I didn't say a word the whole time. I barely spoke to my wife.
So
I was going into shock.
Yeah, at what point are you realizing that this is not just routine anymore? I mean, that this is a full-scale investigation into your business.
So that's when it got really scary. Yeah, that's when it got really scary. So eventually, after a couple hours, one of the officers came to me and said, "Okay, let's go into your kitchen. Let's go sit in your kitchen by the table." And I walk in there. There's like 5 officers standing, like big guys, like guys who's like you don't want to say anything wrong to them, like they're intimidating. And then I go sit at my table with 2 officers sitting around me, and they start asking me questions. It's almost like you're asking me questions. Like it's like, "What do you do for a living?" And I'm like, "Okay, this isn't a big deal. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. Where did you grow up? Who are your parents? Where do you buy your inventory from?" Like, okay, no big deal. Like everyone in the end said, "Get a lawyer first," but I'm like, I didn't think the questions were a big deal. It's like me telling you all about my life, But then I think they got a little bit annoyed because there was nothing juicy. And it got a little bit of tension around the table. So I started to freak out. I started to panic. Like I started to have a mild panic attack. And I just said, "Can I please go back to my wife?" And they said yes. And then I didn't even sit next to her. I started covering my head with a pillow. I started to freak out. And even to the point where, we have guns in our house, and they said, "Do you want us to take these?" My wife's like, "Yes, please," because she didn't know what I was going to do. I would never do anything like that, as extreme as it sounds, but she was scared for me. And that's the point where even she was scared, like what's going to happen to my husband. And I think it wasn't really a situation, but because my family's so important, I was getting ready for Sukkot. I was in the middle of building my sukkah, and my son had hockey that night. So in my head, I'm thinking, am I going to be able to take him to hockey? Because I'm thinking they're going to take me away. Like that's all I'm thinking. Like if it's this crazy, they're going to handcuff me and take me away. So all I'm thinking about is, what are my kids going to say? What are they going to think? Are we going to be ready for the holidays? And that sounds nice, but also shows I'm a little nutty in the head, because I think a lot of people would be like, "Am I going to jail?" I was just thinking, how am I going to prepare for the holidays? How am I going to tell my son I can't take him to hockey?
After how long did they first start? How long were you there before they first started questioning you?
Couple hours. Well, if you add how long I was standing by my car in the beginning, probably about 3 hours, give or take.
Yeah, I have no idea. I would think that they would have to tell you ahead of time why they're searching your house and things.
I didn't know anything until they told me when they sat me down by my kitchen table, where they said, "You're buying stolen goods." And I'm just like, how is that possible? How is so much stuff stolen? It doesn't even make sense to me. Are people going with huge bags and boxes and chasing after trucks and just robbing it? It didn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense to me that something that's possible. Obviously it is, but it didn't make sense to me.
So they tied you to the rings of the supplier. I don't know if I should mention his name here or not, but so as part of an operation on the fence, so racketeering, conspiracy, money laundering. So they I think they sentenced up to 20 years. So what was their theory of your involvement, and what do you think that you became a target because, despite having no prior record at all about anything like this? So why do they target you?
I even pay extra on my taxes, by the way. I'm the type where it's like, I just want to call it a day, sleep well, and not my accountant will be like, "Hey, we could use this as a deduction, but maybe you shouldn't because it's not really worth it." I'm like, "I'll just pay the extra. It's fine. It's okay." So the person who supplied me, I say unfortunately because I never want to see a life lost. So, and I really mean that. He was also a dad. He had 3 kids. So I might get people that say, "Who cares?" But I don't look at it that way.
Right.
So unfortunately, he was killed, and so I was put as literally everyday mob boss.
And he was killed by someone, a mob thing.
I know that I have no idea. I don't know anything about the killing or anything. I have no idea. And so,
okay.
So I was labeled in a huge news story, which I still question today why my friends were watching the news, because they never do, as an everyday mob boss that ran a huge operation of people stealing, bringing it to this guy and selling it to me. I was running an operation. It's unreal.
But that's how they tied you in, just because you bought from him?
Well, I guess because I was the one who made money. I mean, I'm sure he had other people that bought from him, but I don't know, because that's none of my business. But yeah, I that's my guess. I mean, your guess is as good as mine, but my guess is because I was affiliated with him. I was buying from him. We chatted a lot, although I chat with all my suppliers because how else are you going to do business? But yeah. So
how was he as a person with you? How was he like in every where you're dealing?
Yeah.
With him?
So he came to my 40th birthday party. Look, it's business before pleasure, but because I'm not just saying this, I tend to build a relationship with anyone who I think is a good person. I gravitate towards kindness, and I thought, you're a single dad, 3 kids. You used to tell me how I was taking them to school meetings, took them to the dentist. So to me, it's just someone else making a living, a single dad making a living. So what kind of problem can I have with you?
So yeah, I'm the same way as you with that actually too. I like it all depends how you treat me and nice and right. So
yeah, if you're good to me, then I'm good to you. If you're not, then you don't have to have anything to do with me. It's fine.
So the news, like you just said, the news portrayed you as an everyday mob boss, part of a criminal network. They showed your photo. There was part of the the family tree. So how does that deal? How does that for you, your family, and your friends, and and just the perception of the time? How does that affect all of you then?
That night, I think maybe including the rabbi, the neighborhood, now you're gonna get me emotional. I usually don't get emotional this part. My friends came over. They all came, gave me a hug. They checked on me. They made sure my family was okay right away. And then the next day, more friends came. I'm telling you this, and I say it so strongly and I take pride in kindness goes so far. And look, if I did something wrong, I think my friends would be by my side also, but they knew, Yosh, there's no way. Like even people I'm just meeting today, they said, there's no way. You're such a kind person. You're so honest. And they know my connections to the community, no connection. And they know that I look up to, my grandparents who are no longer with me besides my grandmother, that I always tell them, listen, I want to be just like them, where, they're the kindest people. They're honest. I take pride in people being proud of me. So I try to have a good reputation with anyone. And like you said, kind of like you, like we gravitate towards good people because we're good people also. So maybe in the back, in the back somewhere, someone said bad things, but I had so much support because they knew this is not me. It's not important to me to make an extra buck, a non-kosher way.
All right, so you said that investigators found no evidence of any wrongdoing in your account or the transaction. So can you explain the business realities of sourcing the too good to be true deals and why you had no reason to suspect at all at the time about the goods?
Well, first of all, on some items, I was probably making 10 to 15 cents because I don't have a boss paying me. I'm my own boss. And also because it's being considerate. If someone supplies you and they're also giving you good deals, you take some of the bad ones because it's common courtesy in business. But to me, the way it works for Amazon is they have a Amazon calculator where you could see exactly what you're making. So it's not like, oh, this sounds good, I'm just going to take it. You look at it. So if I didn't get these prices, which there's other people selling the same items as me, it's not like I was the only one selling it. And I was selling it for the same price as everyone else. It's not like I was $5 under. Then I wouldn't be making any money. Like it was such small margins for some of this stuff that I need to get these prices, or how can anyone sell this stuff? And I'm not questioning anyone else. I'm not saying that they're doing anything the wrong way at all. But for me, as an Amazon seller, I see that this makes sense because it's the only way to make some money.
I think that what you just mentioned, by the way, I've done that in every business I've ever been in. You take the good with the bad. If someone's supplying you all the time with good things, occasionally, hey, I need you to do this for me. You do it, right, too.
And also, I took losses in my business all the time because I needed capital. So you never know when someone's trying to unload on stuff because, they need the capital for something else.
Right.
I mean, that's how business works. You never know what they're thinking. You're just working on that specific transaction. And, okay, this sounds good. This one's not good. This one sounds good, but it's okay. Let's build a business relationship with each other.
So they shut down. It was Hollywood Seller, right? They shut that down. They froze your bank accounts. So how does that affect everyone? I mean, just compounding the legal terror as well. But how does that affect all of you? That your livelihood is now gone at that time.
I'm telling you, think once again back to my kindness, and my family's relationship, we had so much support, and even mentally, so much support. So people helped us a lot because it was very, very hard, and it wasn't easy even when people helped us. But we survived because of the help of the community, the help of my parents, the help of people I called from 30 years ago that remember me as being a good person. I'm not used to asking. I'm used to giving. I'm not trying to get a pat on my back, but even mentally, it was so hard to ask for help.
No,
It's not easy when all you want to do is give. But I had
sure.
no choice. I don't have too much pride to help my family, so at times I had to beg. But we don't live a luxurious life. We have the home we have because my wife's grandmother, who lived with us for 5 years before she died from New York, she helped us so she could live in the house with us, and I could have my business in here. So we have our home, and we have our simple cars. Not that people can't have nice things, but luckily, I paid off my truck before this happened, and we made our simple lifestyle even more simple, and people appreciate that also. It's not like I need a new car. We did what we had to do.
This is all terrifying. So did they finally arrest you, or did you turned yourself in? What was that?
I turned myself in.
What made you decide to turn yourself in?
No, I didn't. I didn't. So my lawyer, who was a great lawyer, this isn't, which I thought this also, my lawyer said, listen, you're going to do a Trump style. You're going to take a picture, they're going to press the charges officially, and you're going to come out. You're going to do fingerprints, you're going to come out. And then I think on a Thursday, before I had to turn myself in, my lawyer called and said, well, the charges are a little more than what we expected, but they officially filed them, and you might be there for a couple days. So I literally started to have another panic attack. I went into my closet and just started freaking out on the floor, crying, scared.
Oh, wow.
And my wife's like, it's okay. But I'm like, I was on the phone with my lawyer. I'm like, no, this can't happen. No, I just kept on saying it cannot happen. This can't be happening. Like, I've already been through enough. This can't be happening. She said, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to turn yourself in on Monday. I didn't even have my wife take me because I didn't have the heart to say bye to her. So my father-in-law, he's tough. He took me like at 5 a.m. I told my kids, because my kids are young, I told them that I was going camping, which I hate, and that's why I'm a little sad. I tried to make Shabbos as normal as possible that weekend. I said goodbye to a few people that I'm close with. Every one of them I said, listen, I'm scared. It's not only the idea of going to a jail, which is scary, but it's also leaving my family and not knowing what's going to happen. The uncertainty is the hardest part, especially with a $1.35 million bond. It's like, how are we going to get through? We have all this support, but that's a lot of money. That's a real lot of money, and I don't expect anyone just to dish that up. It was a lot of uncertainty. I have no idea what's going to happen, and that's the worst feeling. Being uncertain about things is the worst feeling.
So what was that booking process in your first night? I mean, I can't believe that this is hanging over you all weekend too. So what was that first night in jail like?
So surprisingly, it wasn't so bad. But they wake you up early. So you wake up, you go to court the next day, no matter who it is. And so I actually luckily had a nice roommate, but everyone there was pretty cool. So he was a very good guy, and he welcomed me into his bunk, into his cell. And I woke up like at 4 a.m, and it happened so fast. I had kosher food, thank God. The Olive Institute right away gave me kosher food, and at around 5 a.m, I went downstairs to the courtroom, and I was pretty okay. I was calm by then because I spoke to my wife, and I got downstairs, and my lawyer's like, by the way, there's a camera crew here, and I'm still like in shock. I'm like, for me, like they're here for me. And I even heard an officer say, I hate when the news is here. And my lawyer's like, just look straight, don't look at the camera, and they're just gonna they're gonna ask us a few questions about the bond, and it's gonna be really quick. And then I just went back upstairs to my cell, and everything was happening so fast. Like, it wasn't even. But the nice thing is, when I got back, Olive was there. One of the hardest things for me is like, and I know it sounds a little crazy. You probably get like a pass, but I'm like, am I going to be able to put my tefillin on again? Which I did every day. So I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. But Olive was there when I got back, They had my tefillin, and then it was really nice because they gave me a tehillim, they gave me a sitter. So that really lit me up a lot because I'm like, I know already.
And there was a note from your daughter in that too. I was reading, right?
Yeah, and so I felt like everyone was watching me at that point, including Hashem. Like everyone was there. Like things were starting to be okay. It still was terrible. I wanted to be home, but I had comfort, and it was the most comforting because when you have nothing and you don't know who you're going to talk to, whatever, having a sitter and Tehillim, I don't care how much you dive in or not, having books that connect you to religion was the best feeling. It really was. It made me feel so good.
I agree with you 100% on that. A lot of these times that you see all the things in the news, I always find now like a cathartic, peace when I go to shul or things right now. It does get my mind off it. It's connecting me to.
Look, it's that or you fall apart. It's that or you take the other option, which is keep on having panic attacks, and you're crying every night, and then people are like, "You're such a baby," which you kind of need to be tough. Like people were sensitive there, even in prison, but you don't want to start freaking out because the nights are going to take forever, and the days are going to take forever. So I literally finished the Hall Tehillim book every day. I prayed really, and people were respectful, even though this was right after October 7th. And that's what I was a little freaky also. Like, what are people going to think of the Jew? And I don't mean to judge anyone at all, but it was right after October 7th, and people might have an interesting perspective on or mindset on Jews. And I love everyone. So, but you never know. But everyone was great. Everyone was kind. They respected my religion, just like I respected everyone there.
Right.
I told them I miss my kids, I miss my family, and I really think going in with that mindset, when people said, when they started talking to me, when you say to someone, I miss my family, I miss my kids, I don't care how big and strong you are, you can relate because everyone there who has a family misses their family. And that's the first thing I said to them. I said, I just want to be with my family. And right there, people saw, like, this guy's not a bad guy. This guy's not trying to cause trouble. He just wants to be with his kids and his family. So I got a lot of respect. I got a lot of kindness. Thank God.
Did that note from your daughter just help settle you a little bit also?
It did. Because, it puts thoughts in your head. It's kind of like how certain music makes you, like, go into, like, a state of mind. Right. It made me realize that, I'm okay. And it also made me toughen up. I'm like, I have to do this for my family. Like, I need to toughen up for my family. It reminded me, it's not just about me. I gotta be okay for them. Even though they had no idea, my kids had no idea where I was. I had to be tough for them. I had to be.
So you said your cellmate was nice to you. Did you have other interactions with other inmates? How were they with you?
Yeah, I mean, religion actually plays a huge part in jail. I was talking to people that were from all types of religion, but just like I said about family, we really connected. Like God's watching us and everything's okay. And I've gotten closer to God. So it almost was like I was going, I don't want to compare, but it's almost like I went to a retreat because you have no distractions. It's kind of like in a state where you're like, it's either do this or do this. So I took the path where, I could relate to people. I could let them know that, this is my comfort. So, it really was like an eye opener, because you take the positive out of it. I didn't want to fall apart. So I took all the good that I could take, and people really related to me.
And how long were you in there for?
12 days. It still was 12 days too long.
Yeah, of course. But how did you get out? What was the process that you finally were able to get out?
So we eventually had the bond drop to about $830,000. A really good friends of mine, even though I have a lot of good friends, thank God, they put up their house and I put up my house for collateral. And we had to come up with 10%, about $80,000. And I got out on a Friday, thank God, because I didn't want to be there for any Shabbos. It's not that it's my choice. But I was already there for one Shabbos, even though it was the most spiritual, uplifting Shabbos I've ever had. But I got out with, house arrest.
How did you celebrate Shabbos? I just want to curious. How did you celebrate Shabbos in jail?
So I actually, for about 6 days, I was in bunks with other people. And on Friday, when I got back from court and I heard my new bond, I was actually put in a cell by myself. And something came over me where I said, Hashem, I understand. you want me to figure things out. So I took the little piece of bread, I took my water, I said Kiddush, I said Hamotzi, and I started davening out loud. Like I started singing Lechadodi. Something came over me where I'm like, it's just me and Hashem, it's just me and you. So I'm going to act like it's just me and you. No one is around me. I'm going to sing to you. I'm going to tell you how much I love you. And I'm going to be thankful for everything you gave me when I'm in one of the toughest situations of my life. So Shabbos ended up being, very spiritual, very uplifting. I finally connected to God in a way that I never thought I would. And it was just literally me and him, no one else. It was just me and him.
Mm-hmm. You said you were talking about house arrest. Then you mentioned to me when we first spoke, you had the ankle monitor on. So what was that whole experience like? You also had Shabbat then too. So what was that whole experience like?
It was one of the hardest things I've ever been through, and I already spoke to you about the hardest things. House arrest, being an Orthodox Jew who looks to Shabbos for comfort, who looks to praying for comfort. It's nobody's fault, but this thing would go off at the most random times where you're just like, God, how many times are you going to test me? Like I would be, eating at the Shabbos table with my kids, and all of a sudden it would go off, and I'd have to go either answer the phone or push a button to clear it. Twice I had to drive on Shabbos to go get a new, device. On Yom Kippur during the Elah, it went off, so I had to leave davening because I didn't want to distract other people.
Sure.
And I was tested in ways with my connection to God that I never thought were possible. And I already thought I was tested so much, because my comfort was my prayer, was my religion. So to have this go off, which sounds like the worst moment, I was tested so much, and it was such an inconvenience. I don't know how to put it into other words. It was very tough. It was very tough to keep my cool when your real comfort is prayer. It was and going to shul, going to pray when you have to walk out sometimes because it's beeping. You don't want to bother other people. Sometimes I don't even know what the law was as far as I'm sure a rabbi would give me a pass, but you're in the middle of Shemona Esrei, and where you're not supposed to move or talk, and you just get up and go. It's like people are looking at me like, wait, you can't walk during Shemona Esrei. You must have to really go to the bathroom. Like my friends felt for me so much, but you know what? At the same time, people saw me go to shul, and they're like, I can't believe that he's so strong and he's so connected to God when he's going through such a tough time. They really looked up to me. And to me, if I could bring something to somebody else when I'm going through a struggle, that's a gift. That's a gift from God. The fact that I'm using what I'm going through as a gift and helping other people, then that's probably how I got through it. I mean, people would come up to me and say, I'm having a bad day, Yosh, but you're going through worse, so my day's fine. And I'm like, okay, I could still do what I love to do, which is help people, even when I'm going through this, then okay.
So surreal. Everything just... But what, you eventually changed legal teams, right?
I did. I just didn't feel like it was going so smoothly. I didn't feel like we were getting anywhere. Right. And once again, it was back to God, where I thought my lawyers were good, but you kind of learn as you go by, as time goes by, you learn about lawyers and what you're really looking for. And maybe it was also me that I'm just like, it was also my wife that, we're looking for a little bit more. So I personally think that my lawyer, his name is Mark Eiglarsh, he fell into my lap from God. And it's no disrespect to the other lawyers. I'm sure they do a great job. But for some reason, I needed him. He took care of me like I was a little brother, but he was tough. Like I'm sure people have heard of him, but he's tough, but he makes sure you're okay. And I need that. I needed not someone to hold my hand anymore. I needed someone to fight really hard for me. And that's what he does. And once again, no disrespect to the other ones, but I think everyone goes through multiple lawyers for multiple reasons, but I needed him. I needed him for so many reasons. And in the end, it was also to save me and to get me through this. But he made me feel like, basically, shut up and you're okay, but in a big brother type of way. So it needed to happen.
The case went for like 3 years. So what did the government start changing, like their tune a little bit? Did their approach?
So we started to do depositions, which I didn't know anything about law, but if you don't have it on paper, then doesn't matter if you think you did something or you didn't. You need to do depositions. You need to show that this is the facts. So we started to do depositions, and my lawyer is really good at them. He did a really good job, and things came out that kind of showed my innocence. Kind of showed that what I was saying was true. And I think that's how I think that's how any case gets resolved. You start asking questions. You start figuring things out. And a lot of things were not what people said they were.
Looking back now, I mean, how does it feel for you right now? Has it impacted you, like your own sense of self in a way, a little bit, and for your family, for the community?
I feel like I'm still figuring myself out mentally. My job situation, but as far as me personally, I feel like I'm the best person I've ever been in my life. And like I told you, I always thought I was a good person. I was always content. But I finally realized that there's no such thing as content. You have to always find your potential to do more and more and more. I don't say that lightly at all, especially in a Jewish religious aspect. I now see that when people ask you, you're an Orthodox Jew, what does that mean? I said, keep Shabbos, keep kosher, daven 3 times a day, pray 3 times a day. That's just the white picket fence, perfect life. There's more to it. I now see that I want to one day go in front of my God and say, I always tried to grow, and I never thought that until now. I have a goal now. I have things that I want to accomplish, not only as a Jew, but what I bring to other people, and I feel so good. I don't even really feel so stressed most of the time because even going through this, when I couldn't use the internet and I can't do certain things, it sucked, but it made you realize what's so important, because sometimes in life we go so fast. This was the slowest period of my life, and it's almost a blessing because you take a time to really sit and think about what life is about and what's important, because you don't have a choice. All you're doing is thinking all day and looking at my dog. So I think more people need to slow down because now things go fast. But at that time, I'm so fortunate. I did something that most of us don't do. I sat and I realized what I really want in life and what's true, what's not true, who do I want to be, how do I want to do it. I was going 0 to 60 in seconds. Now, then I had a moment to go to 0 to 60 much slower, and it was a blessing. But I highly recommend people to take that time, just slow down.
Mm-hmm. So you eventually accepted a plea deal, like they said, 6 years in probation. So why did you choose this path instead of fighting to the end?
Because as strong as I was, my family, I still have 3 kids. I have a wife who's been working her butt off to keep the family together, and I would take a bullet for my family, and I couldn't put them through it another day. It wasn't about me anymore. There were times where I thought I wasn't going to be able to make it. I thought I was going to walk out and say, do the worst to me. When your family's your life and your most important thing, you have to make almost like a business decision. Like, am I going to put them through posse in another 3 years because you have no idea how long it's going to go for? You have no idea. Or am I just going to, be a man, be the head of my family and take one for the team and try to get us back together sooner than later? Because it was ugly for a while. It wasn't fair to, especially my kids. I have great kids, and for them to go through it, this was about me, but my kids were struggling so much. I have parents, imagine being a dad who your hands are so tied, you literally can't do anything to help your kid. Mm-hmm. And it was enough. It was enough already.
Are you allowed to, I'm just curiosity now, are you allowed to sell online again?
I'm not. I until my probation's done. But you know what? I don't know the path that God has for me, but I think I'm kind of done with that. Not because I wasn't good at it, because I feel like I want to hopefully find something where I could be more of me. I could use myself instead of my selling abilities. I figured myself out. I want to help people and find a path where I could do that. So if not, I'm not greedy. I'm not selfish. If someone offers me a job that has nothing to do with being me, I'll take it in a heartbeat because my family comes first. But I realize that I want to try to do more.
And I was reading the government reportedly acknowledged that they made some mistakes.
I mean, sort of. That's why I'm sitting here today on the internet because, I think they realized that, some of the things were not, I'm not a mob boss. Some things were just not exactly as it was portrayed to be.
It's also terrifying, just terrifying that this could happen to anyone.
Oh, it was so scary. I'm not sitting here today saying I wasn't scared. I told you I had panic attacks. It was very scary.
Of course. So, all right. So you've described the ordeal. It's like helped you instead of breaking you, which is very admirable with all of this too. And, your relationship with God you said, has become only strengthened from this. Correct. And so so you still do, like, how is it now? Like, just praying now?
My praying it's so top notch, which I don't even know what that means because everyone's different, but I've never really spoken to God when I pray. I actually speak. I feel like I'm actually talking to God. Before I would just pray and know that God's listening, but now I feel like it's like I almost like back in that cell when I was by myself. It's just me and you, God. It's me and you. I realized even more that I could ask God for things, and it's going to happen. So not only for myself but for other people. I literally feel like I'm one-on-one when I pray. It's a one-on-one, and I can't see God, but I feel like God is there in a way that I can't even explain. And I hope everyone, goes through that, because when you do, you feel like when you're praying, you're invincible. You feel like you're in such peace. And I also, I took on doing taharos, which is a process where you're basically preparing a body that's going to be buried. And it put a lot of things in perspective for me also. It made me realize even more that we're all the same in the end. We all come and go the same way. And I'm not saying everyone has to, but these are just things that are part of my journey that I wasn't able to do before. And I want to get back to not only, to God, but I'm not the type where if people do good for me, I'm just going to sit back and say, thank you. I want to show people that I'm so thankful for what they've done for me. And I can't pay them back per se, but I could pay them back in ways of helping the community, of doing a lot of good deeds, sharing my story to give strength. So I'm full speed ahead about, I want to show people that what you did for me was not going to go wasted. I'm very big about that. Thank you. And it's not thanks, but no thanks. It's thank you. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Your investment was worth it.
I'm going to ask you about that in a second. What do you do now then?
So I was very fortunate. I have a friend who I'm working at his nursing home. I'm working in one of his offices, and it wasn't easy to get the job. He pushed and he pushed, and he's like a brother to me, and his whole family is like a family to me. And I'm doing that, but in all honesty, I need to find some more because it's not easy to, to support, even, when things are basic, to support an Orthodox family, any family. We still have bills to pay. My wife teaches, so I'm still, getting help here and there. But it's not easy. It's not easy, but I'm trying to keep, a strong head, keep on praying to God for more opportunities. So if there's any out there, all ears. But I feel good though. I feel good. I feel like
I was about to say, you don't seem as bitter as you could be about this, and even from the exchanges that I've had with you, your whole thing is about wanting to help others now. So
because I feel like I almost like meditated for 3 years, even if it was hard. Because when you go through hard times, but you constantly look for ways to get through it, you could teach your brain anything. And I've taught my brain to be like, you know what, this is tough, but you have to move on. And I found ways to move on, whether it's prayer. Like when your prayer is strong, it's a lot easier to move on from a hard situation. And also you could teach your brain anything. When I pray now, I tell myself it's all for the good. It's all for the good. And it's just instilled in my head. I'm even though going into this, this interview, I tell myself, this is good for me. This is one of the reasons I do it also, because it's therapeutic. When I was writing for 2 years, it was therapeutic, and you need to find what works, or you're going to be a mess. And I do have hard days. I definitely do. But even talking to you, this feels great. This is what I need.
I'm glad. So you are writing a book. You and I have spoken about that. So you are writing a book with the intention of helping others, talking about your experiences going through that. So I'm hoping that does come to completion, and we could see that out there. But yes, you're very close to being done. I saw you also have an outreach. You have your site, livingyosh.com.
Yeah, so I'm still new to the whole website thing, but my goal through all this is to let people know it's okay to share your story. You don't have to do it like me, but just know there's so many people out there that could help you. Don't be afraid, to reach out and let people know what you're going through, because you can't do it alone. So my website is an opportunity for people to share stories, not only for themselves, but just like me, to help other people, because we're all going through hard times, and it doesn't matter how big or small it is. But I put the website together for people to feel better about themselves and to hear other people's stories. So I highly recommend people to share their stories on my site. This isn't about me. It's about all of us uniting and helping each other, because every story has meaning. Every story could be helping not only you, but somebody else. That's what it's all about. Or why do you go through it?
And through this site, people can also reach out to you for speaking engagements.
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, and even if it's, you can email me, even if you just want to talk, I'm here. But I would love to speak in front of a crowd. I'd love to, let people know my story, and hopefully just even give one person strength, or, let people know that their story could give people strength. I would love, I mean, I'm still working on my speaking skills, but yeah, you could definitely reach out to me, and I would love to speak in front of your congregation, or in front of, I spoke in front of a high school. Please, that would be such a blessing.
Well, for someone who goes through suddenly finds themselves, I guess, in a similar nightmare or something else, like, that is a trying time. So what advice would you give them?
Use all the tools that you have. Do not be afraid to reach out, because like I said, there's so many people out there that want to help you, and every little way somebody helps you makes a difference. I feel like if I was missing one person that helped me, it wouldn't put the puzzle together. Do not be afraid to speak out. Do not be afraid to share your story. Do not be afraid to ask for help, because there's always somebody that can help you in some way, and it makes such a difference. We're all here together. We're all united. We all want to be there for each other. That's what makes not only the Jewish people, because not just about the Jewish people, it's anyone. Anyone is stronger when they have a supporting group. And I'm so thankful for the support that I had.
That's great. And we mentioned livingyosh.com. I see the Instagram behind you. So how can people follow you on social media?
So it's at Living Yosh. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. But you could definitely go to my Instagram. If you don't find it, you could always message me on my website. If it's okay, I have a fund that's going on also. Every dollar helps, if that's okay if I mention it. It's Help Yosh, HELPYOSH.com. Like I said, it's not easy, but I'm doing good, thank God. But I would love to have people reach out. I'd love for you to follow me on social media and follow my journey. And I'd love to follow yours as well.
I'm going to put all that up when we post this as well. But Yosh, I want to thank you for taking the time today to speak. Your story is unbelievable. It's terrifying, but I do admire your attitude now with everything.
That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, just wanting to help and others, and you to have a good outlook on things too, which is
we need to
tough.
be there for each other. We have to be. We have to be there for each other. We have to.
Well, again, thank you, and let me sign this off now. Again, this has been the Jewish Lens. I'm Jonathan Rosen. Again, a very special thanks to Yosh Markell. Please go look up all his social media, and please like, comment, and subscribe.
Thanks for tuning in to the Jewish Lens, where all items used was strictly kosher.